But I wonder what staff needs literally, but like it has to be okay. Like poison ivy, like adjacent to your we won't have to but you say that what we can do it's right. But I'm saying, if something's not our fault, we can ask it's a quality violation for us. The analytical is just how is that? But what he's trying to do is just think it wasn't reside there. It's garbage in there. Whatever, it's garbage there. So, poison ivy, litter. I step out there for no, I think you're right in the way in the parenting that's the whole range is that they're just taking the position you can ask because it's hard there's a lot of town so you know sometimes things that part of it is a section of the park on the side that's not being
Good morning. This is the Board of Appeals, Town of Hempstead, October 26, 2022, 9:30 a.m. So everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Chairman, do you have any opening remarks?
I guess for those of you who have not been before, Secretary confirmed all each case. And those of you who signed in opposition or interested in this case will also come forward when the case is called along with the applicant and or the representative of the applicant. Other than that, you can proceed.
We do have two requests for adjournment. First, we have case 66422, BOP, Alex Hammond, install 6-foot-high fence border of the dwelling on Fairway Road, which may substantially obstruct line of sight and within clear sight triangle, known as 143 Fairway Road.
Just sworn in.
That's what
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I'm just here to request an adjournment to go traffic canal.
Okay, and so, what are the days that were Is it only the effective mailing that you have to do?
Yes.
November 30th.
That's November. Okay, do you know when you need it mailed for that?
I have already set one to the orders.
Okay, okay, you down at 9:30 or 2 o'clock?
It's not good.
Okay. November 30th at 9:30.
Thank you.
Next, we have case 9522 Belmore, Sarah Gusto. Special exception to construct accessory structure, pavilion with storage, kitchen, and fireplace higher. Larger than permitted and exceeds horizontal maximum on both sides. Also known as 2764 Data Boulevard.
Okay, you give your name and address for the record.
My name is Melissa Graham from 124 Front Street, Massachusetts Park, 11763.
What is the reason you need to seek an adjournment?
We need to receive an adjournment. We just got the denial for the cabana. But now my clients added a water feature to the pool, so I have to update their pool plans to make sure that that feature doesn't require variances.
Okay, so you have the adjournment that you just got for the cabana. Is that need to be added to the case, or is that already part of one of these items in your case?
The cabana is the case, the pool may need to be added.
Okay. How much time do you think you need?
They need like December.
Okay, and that, you have it ready to go back to the building department, or you have it there?
The cabana is denied and ready to go. I just need the updated plans for the pool. They
Okay.
added a water feature. I just need to make sure the setback doesn't require variance.
Right, and so but that added feature has not yet gone to the building department, so you still have to get out there and get it.
Correct.
Is the pool up?
The pool has been permitted. They have a permit for it. That was permitted. The pool is constructed, but then they added this water feature that they didn't realize needed a permit.
December 7th.
December 7th? Sure. December 7th at 9:30. See you then.
Thank you.
I believe we have one more request for adjournment.
Okay, so.
Okay, this is case 66122 through 66222 Franklin Square, Michelle Rodeo Rossier. Maintain outdoor kitchen higher and larger than permitted and exceeding horizontal maximum. Special exception to maintain second accessory structure, fire pit, special exception to maintain the third accessory structure of the pavilion higher and larger than permitted and exceeding horizontal maximums on both sides, known as 459 Jefferson Street.
This is a German course?
You know what? Now that he read it, I don't need a German. I can do it.
Okay, you need to swear in.
Oh,
Or what would you back up?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Any other cases for adjournment? Very good.
No, we didn't.
672, 673.
No, we didn't.
Okay. Sorry. 672, 673, 22, West Hempstead. Jennifer Simonowitz. Variance lot area occupied, construct two-story addition, second-story addition, and first-story addition, all attached to dwelling. Variance lot area occupied, construct shed, also known as 14 Hawthorne Street.
Name and address for the record.
Yes, Robert Hoffman, 20 Meadow Drive, 3F, Williamsburg, New York, 41598.
And what's the reason that you need to seek an adjournment?
We have come to what we know there are a lot of objections to this project, so we'd like to address them
Okay.
and ways to be fully address it before coming forward.
Okay, how much time do you think you need?
If we can get to mid-December, it would be great. There's a meeting on the 14th December.
Is the two-story, or none of this stuff exists already?
No,
New
all
construction.
proposed.
Okay.
All proposed construction.
December 14th?
Yes.
Okay. What
That's
time?
great.
9:30?
That's great.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I was here for that.
Oh.
Okay, so I don't know how that works. We come back to the.
Who else here on
Could
that
you get
case?
that guy back, please?
Okay. Have all of you signed in on the case?
Yes.
Sir, these folks here are all here, are interested also in the case, so there's some of the people that you want to apparently maybe meet with, etc. So we. He has asked for the middle of December for the case to be heard so that he might address some of the issues that apparently he's come to know exist amongst the group. I have no way of knowing if he's aware of all of them or not, but the case will come before us instead on December 14th at 9:30. You won't get another notice, so if there's anyone else that you're aware of who couldn't be here today but would like to have been here today, let them know December 14th at 9:30. Would you be interested in getting contact information from these people if they wish to give it to you? So you guys. So unfortunately, we don't have a room here like we have in the other courtroom. If you guys want to step outside and exchange information to the extent that you're comfortable with it, and we'll be back here December 14th at 9:30. Okay? All right.
Now I don't want to refer to the question. All right. Okay. First, we have case 656.2 Baldwin, Steve E. Vines, renewal grant to maintain two-family dwelling, known as 1856 Brown Street. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you out? Please take a seat and state your name and address. There's the microphone.
Assassin Bonds, 1856 Brown Street.
So this is a renewal of a grant to maintain a two-family dwelling. Was there a condition on its issuance that it be owner occupied? Is it owner occupied in this one unit?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to add? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything else? So it does have a condition, the owner occupied, just so
Right.
you're aware.
Yes, yes.
But in fact, you're telling us that it is in fact owner occupied.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed. When the board renders its decision, you will receive a written notice.
In the matter. Thank you, Lynn. You're done.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Next, we have case 65722, Bontoff, Peter A. and Laura J. Lindbergh. Renewal of grants to contain pools and equipment not permitted in front yard setback from Oakfield Avenue, and a 6-foot-high fence larger than the pool installation area, known as 1290 Chelsea Road.
Yeah. All right. Well, since nobody has signed in on the matter, I will grant the appearance waiver to the applicant. Should I just second call it? All right. Let's second call it.
No, they'll go to the next one, and then we'll finish it.
Okay. Next, we have case 65822, Baldwin, Israel A. Roman, renewal of grant to maintain two-family dwelling, also known as 2477 Park Avenue. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Isabel Roman, 2477 Park Avenue, Baldwin, New York.
Wait, that's our second call.
Um,
658, yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is a renewal grant to maintain a two-family dwelling?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Is it required to be owner occupied?
Yes, I believe so.
And is it owner occupied?
Yes.
You live there? Yes. Okay. Is there anything else you wish to add?
No.
Okay. Building department inspected premises on 8/16/22 and found to be in compliance with all conditions imposed on the matter. Are there any questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed. The case placed on the decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will receive a
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
When the board renders its decision, you'll be notified.
Yeah, you finished.
Good to go.
Next, we have case 65922, Levittown News Associates LP. Renewal of grant to maintain one double-faced dash pylon sign, 204 square feet per face, overall size 408 square feet, overall height 25 feet 6 inches, clearance 5'3.5" to bottom of sign, setback 10 feet from Hempstead Turnpike, known as 3335 Hempstead Turnpike.
Name and address.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You say you do that, that's right.
Eric Siegel, with Wilson Realty, 500 Old Country Road, Gardens of New York.
Okay, and this is a renewal grant to maintain one double-faced illuminated sign. The building department inspected the sign on August 11, 2022, and found it to be in compliance with all previously imposed conditions. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Okay, any other questions from the board?
Is there still a need for this sign because it used to advertise the movies that were playing in the theater, correct?
There were no movies there.
No, I thought it was the sign that advertised it.
No, there's no movie theaters. The center was built in the late 80s or the early 90s. There was never a movie theater.
Okay.
There's always a shopping center. Currently, there's an Ulta, a Walmart.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
The wrong
It's
one.
across from the Home
Understood.
Depot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed and case first on the decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We have to actually switch to chair.
Okay, next we have case 660-22, Garden City East, Stewart Avenue Realty LLC. Renewal of grant to maintain one double-face illuminated detached ground sign setback 5 feet from Stewart Avenue, 3 feet from side property line. There is 7 feet from grade to bottom of sign, also known as 999 Stewart Avenue. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please take a seat and state your name and address for the record.
Joel Brooks, 25 South Service Road, Jericho, New York.
Mr. Brooks, this is a renewal of a grant on a sign. I'm just looking at the report from the building department, which is dated August 17, 2022. It says wrong permit number. The one listed is for the 999 Stewart Avenue, Garden Cities, for dental offices. I don't know. We have an issue here. Should be dental office for 21. I think it's just an incorrect building permit number. Yeah, the number that this building permit number apparently is for dental office. I don't know where that is. Well, I'm just looking at the note here. That's just an incorrect permit. What's there is compliance. It's just it's an internal.
I have a file from the beginning of this grant, and the number on the permit seems to be the same, so maybe you could let me know.
Yeah, everything I see here, including the history of the case going back to 2017, shows that same building permit number. So I'm not sure what happened here. It appears to be probably some internal confusion in this end. But in any event, the building inspector did inspect the premises and found them to be in compliance with the conditions that were previously issued by the board. I'm not sure if this is something we can resolve this moment. I think it's all here. It's everything matches here. So, Patrick, everything matches, including the file, so it's got to be something security on it. It's administrative, but the building inspector's report says that everything's okay. So is there anything else that you would like to add?
To only add that there's no dental office there as far as storage.
Not that you're aware of any.
Sign has been maintained since I believe 1998, and we've been in full compliance.
Okay.
That day forward.
But any other questions from the board?
Move the hearing be closed and now be placed on the decision calendar so you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision and subsequent.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. We'll get it resolved, and if there's any issues, we'll let you know. We'll have it already.
Next, we have case 66122 through 66222, Franklin Square, Michelle Rodia Garcia. Maintain outdoor kitchen higher and larger than permitted to exceed parts of the maximum. Special exception to maintain a second accessory structure, fire pit. Special exception to maintain third accessory structure, pavilion, higher and larger than permitted and exceeding parts of the maximum on both sides, known as 459 Jefferson Street. Raise your right hand. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Andrew Braun, P-R-A-U-N, 1924 Elmore Avenue, Elmore, New York, 11710.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Braun. I'm an engineer. I'm representing the applicant today. Variance to maintain the outdoor kitchen higher and larger than permitted, also exceeding the horizontal maximums. Special exception to maintain the second accessory structure of the fire pit, as well as A662, which is a special exception to maintain the third accessory structure, which is a pavilion, higher and larger than permitted and exceeding horizontal maximum on both sides. We were hired by the homeowner to obtain a permit for a swimming pool, and when I went to the backyard, I noticed all these other structures and advised the homeowner that they don't have permits for them. The homeowner hired a contractor at the time that told me they did not need permits for it, and went ahead and built all these items. Since that time, they also put a hot tub in, which we obtained permits for, and we also did a permit for a maintain of a retaining wall that was in the front of the property there. So at this time, all of the structures on the property are listed, and we're here now for the variance approval for the items that I listed. The swimming pool was permitted, and they go through the final inspection processes for that, as well as the hot tub. But the items before you are what we are seeking variance for now. I do have letters of support from neighbors that I would like to submit. They're all free.
There's some evidence. Mr. Braun, the plan that we should be looking at is that dated 4/14/21.
Yes.
No revisions, updates, since
Correct. That's the one I have in front of me.
and that's what the board's to consider.
Can you just for the record put the numbers as to the height, size, horizontal, max on the kitchen and the pavilion?
So the pavilion, based on this drawing, is 1710 by 1390, and that's application 21-4806.
Right, and what's the square footage on that?
Square footage.
Yeah, for the larger than you're allowed 144, what are you proposing?
I have to do a little bit of math.
Should be on. Oh, here we go. I found it for the pavilion. The height is 11 feet 7 inches. You're allowed 9 feet. The outdoor kitchen countertop. Is the outdoor kitchen countertop part of the, also, is there one of those in the pavilion too? Or is that referring to the kitchen?
So the pavilion is on its own, too large in both length and width and height.
Correct.
And then the outdoor kitchen is only permitted to be fit within a 12 by 12 square box.
Right.
And it exceeds that.
Right, so let's just get the numbers because let's just start with the pavilion since we're on. You're allowed 144, what do you have?
245, I just
245, okay. And you're allowed a height of 9, what do you have?
We have 11'7".
Okay, and then what is did you give us the horizontals, that's 1710 and 1390, right?
Correct.
Okay, now let's do the same thing for the outdoor kitchen, because that's the other one you need all three of them on. The height, I can try to find it.
So the outdoor kitchen is listed in,
I don't know why you have height. So it looks looks like the outdoor kitchen countertop. Does it have a top on it?
It's 3'6" is the height.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't give rise to height variance. But you are here for one for that. Is there no anything other than the countertop in the outdoor kitchen? Is there any height? Yeah, there is something bars with it.
I think that's a pizza oven that's just set on top.
Yeah, but
Other-
even that wouldn't exceed 9 feet. I'm not clear why you have a height variance on that. Well, let's go to the overall size. You need a larger and you need horizontal. So,
Mrs. D'Amato, perhaps it's just a generic term that we use, higher and larger than permitted. That's the way, it's all inclusive with the buildings department.
right, but I just need the record to reflect the square footage of the outdoor kitchen and the horizontal maximum. And whether you need it on one of both sides. I can't, the chart here doesn't really show it, that I can find it.
So you're asking me what is the dimension
So
of
the outdoor kitchen was rejected by the building department on the basis that it's higher than allowable, so you're allowed 9 feet in height, and it exceeds that. I don't understand why it was rejected for that. It was also rejected as being larger than permitted, which means it exceeds 144 square feet, right? And it was also rejected for the horizontal maximum. I don't know if they rejected for that on one or both sides.
I believe it's the horizontal maximum because it's not more than 144 square feet.
When you were rejected for 3 things, it's common on accessory structures. The 3 things that are the criteria, besides the fact its setbacks and its location, are the larger than allowable, which means it exceeds 144. Height, which means it exceeds 9 feet in height, and horizontal maximum, which means one or both sides exceed the 12-foot allowable. I just want to put the numbers on the record. That's all I'm trying to do. I don't understand why you're rejected for height on the kitchen personally, but
I don't see that either.
Okay.
It may be a generic term, as your other members of the board said. Maybe it's just, they gave it as a generic, higher and larger. That's what the other gentleman
it
said.
doesn't work like that. I mean, I'm sorry. He now thinks it was a generic term that they just threw height and large in there, even though it doesn't need it.
Specific kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs one. See, kitchen, higher, larger, needs one or some next. He thinks they just threw his terms in there. It's one to be. I don't think it needs higher, but, and now I moved on to larger, the square footage. He said it doesn't exceed the square footage.
It's a linear measurement, it's larger.
The larger is the square
It's
footage.
approximately, if I was to draw a box around the irregular shape,
No.
it would be about 18 by 18 feet, 18 feet by 18 feet. Can I approach and show you on the picture?
Mr. Brown, while we're at it, I believe I heard you say that there's been a hot tub installed.
Yeah, that's there, and there's a
Where
permit
is it?
for
I don't see it here. Wait a minute.
22-6050. May I come up?
Sure.
That's what I'm just trying to get the record. The building department, it's not just a package that they just catch up. They actually need a kitchen, they need higher. Where is the plans on that? And they would put all 3 in the state. And I think it's wrong. From what I can see, that's the larger, we need the number that it.
So the larger, it goes from here, this dimension here, and this dimension here is approximately 18 feet by 18 feet, like that.
But
It can't be bigger than 12.
I know that's what's on maximum. That's not larger. Larger is the square footage. Feet. Square feet. In other words,
This is
you
not
can get
more than
rejected.
144.
Well, the building department saying this. You can get rejected for one of the 3. Something's coming in, you need horizontal maximum on one side, where they only see square footage. So I just wanted to know for that. I can't see height, but may or may not be larger, but I just needed the numbers, so we will work on that.
Going back on the record, apparently there's some things that need to be amended on the site plan and some questions about what exactly is being granted or being asked for. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjourn this until, how much time do you think you need?
Doesn't have to be the notice, correct?
No, it's just in the regular adjournment.
Whatever the next available.
That's next week, so I don't know if that's enough time. So let's go for the 16th.
16th?
Well, I'll give you the 16th or the 30th. You tell me.
16th.
So we're going to adjourn this to November 16th at 9:30 a.m. and you're going to submit a revised site plan and you're going to go up to the building department. Let's figure out exactly whether it's rejected for height or whether they just lump that all together into one definition.
And the larger one.
And higher and larger because you don't really see it.
Understand.
All right?
And maybe let the office know so we can go into it knowing if you're going to have, just call and let them know that you found out you don't need higher or larger. So we'll just remove it for the rest of the time, or there's another number on the record, so it can all be
Okay, that was submitted for the site plan.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, very good. So that's adjourned November 16th, 9:30 a.m.
Next, we have case 6322, Montauk, Nicholas and Alton, variance and occupied construction, two-story, second-story additions, both attached to dwelling, 27 Pine Street. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, John? Yes. Let's take a seat. State your name and address, John.
Good morning, members of the board. Mr. Chair, my name is Mark Anthony Lonsberry. My office is located at 1563 Belmore Avenue, Belmore. And this morning, I am hearing from my client, Nicholas Albanese, who is the owner and occupant of the subject property.
All right, what can we do for you?
This morning, we're requesting a variance to construct a two-story and second-story addition that would put this home over its permitted lot coverage. My client's home is a colonial-style house on a lesser lot of only 5,000 square feet, built in the late 20s or early 30s. I would consider it a relatively small home at only 886 square feet on the first floor and 622 square feet on the second. Our proposed renovation and addition would include relocating the half bath to allow for a larger kitchen space on the first floor and a second-story bedroom, which would make this a three-bedroom home. Our request is to increase the permitted lot coverage from 27.5% to 31.3%, which is a 3.8% overage for 190 square feet. I would like to add that if this was a standard lot at 6,000 square feet, we would be under the permitted lot coverage and would not require this variance. That completes our application. I can answer any questions.
So in total, it's 31.3, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I see that you're removing the deck and you're pressing construction.
Yes, sir. Most of it is actually landing on the addition.
And are you aware of any objections from any of the neighbors?
No, sir.
All right, and that's your piece?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the board?
You're Also recognize the fact that you have all these, and they're not conforming, 6 items that need to be,
Yes.
items that need to be addressed.
We know about that point, otherwise there is no other departments out.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the hearing be closed and matter placed on the decision calendar, receive one story, be notified by mail, reports decision once
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions?
Next, we have case 66522, 66622, variance. Sarah and E. Hussein. Variances from lot area occupied in the side yard to aggregate maintains the one-story addition attached dwelling. Variances from lot area occupied in side yard to maintain the second-story deck with stairs attached to dwelling, known as 88 Beach Drive. Sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Tina Gallo, 549 Hempstead Turnpike, West Hempstead, New York, 11552.
Back to you, stand 4469 Lindenmere Drive, New York, 11556.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I'm representing Sarah and Taki Hassin of 88 Beach Drive in Merrick. The property is located on the west side of Beach Drive, 318.1 feet south of Bernard Street in Residence B. We're requesting a variance to maintain a one-story addition attached to the dwelling and a roofed over second-story deck with stairs attached to the dwelling. The one-story addition violates the lot coverage allowed of 27.5%. The lot coverage provided is 39.3%, which includes the deck and stairs. Without the deck and the stairs, the lot coverage would be 31.3%. It also violates the side yard and side yard aggregates. The side yard required is 5 feet, and the side yard provided is 2 feet 7 inches. Side yard aggregate is 15 feet required, and the aggregate provided is 12 feet 1 inch. This addition is used as a shed for storage. There's no direct entrance into the house. We're also requesting a variance for a second-story deck with a roof over and stairs. The deck violates the side yard setback required of 5 feet. The side yard provided is 4 feet 6 inches. The maximum lot coverage allowed is 27.5%, and the total lot coverage provided is 39.3%. With the side addition, without the side addition, the lot coverage would be 35.7%. The Husseins purchased the house in 2013. At the time, the deck and the stairs, the roof over, the side addition were all existing. They were not aware of any issues with them. Looking back at pictures online from previous multiple listings, it appears the structure was showing in a 2006 listing. And on the search sheet, it also appears that in 2007, there may have been a complaint that was issued to the previous owner, because I see there's a certificate of approval for plumbing and gas to remove an illegal kitchen on the second floor. There was no second floor kitchen when they purchased the home, and there is not one there now. In 2006, they received a notice from the building department about a deck without a permit, a violation, and that's when he first learned that the deck was an issue. He hired an architect at that time who submitted plans, and we're going back and forth with the building department. In 2019, the architect told him he also needed to file for the side addition, and then COVID hit, things got delayed, and now we're here trying to get this squared away because Mr. Design is selling the home and needs to get this taken care of.
Selling or already sold?
You're in contract now, correct?
Ms. Pangallo?
Yes.
The deck in the rear with the stairs, what is the required setback, rear yard setback? In a residence?
15 feet?
Residence B, second story?
Yes.
Story?
As far as I know, it's a second story deck, rear yard setback, 15 feet?
The second story is 15 and the first
Yeah. Second story deck. So it's 24. The stairs are included, it's 20 feet.
Actually, all the stairs. The stairs would be, I think, the stairs would fall in right?
All right, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No.
Do I have any other questions from the board?
Move the hearing be closed and matter be placed on the decision calendar, Ms. Danielle, from you and your client, because you receive a copy of the board's decision by mail.
Thank you very much.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions?
Next we have case 66722, 66E22, Oceanside. Michael Marciano. Variance side yard maintained deck attached dwelling, special exception to maintain accessory structure, shed, larger than permitted, exceeding horizontal maximum. Variance, front yard, average setback, maintained cellar entrance attached dwelling, also known as 366 Fox River Road. Swear affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Since your name and address are
Lisa Kushida with Kermit Terrace, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396, Syosset, New York, 11791. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm here representing Mr. Marciano, who wishes to maintain and legalize a wood deck attached to the dwelling, a shed, and a cellar entrance. This property is located in a residence B zone. The deck has a side yard setback of 4 feet, where the required is 5 feet. The vinyl shed has a horizontal length of 20 feet, where the required is 12 feet, and the overall square footage is 200 square feet, where the allowable is 144 square feet. The cellar entrance has a front yard setback of 12.5 feet, where the required is 25 feet. The deck and shed have been there for over 17 years, and the shed for about 3 years. All of the items have been there without incident, and to my knowledge, there are no complaints on file. This home has been sold, and there is currently money in escrow. Mr. Marciano respectfully requests your approval.
Have you been inside the house?
No, I have not.
There's letters indicating that it's a basement is being utilized as an apartment. As long as everything else is with the dwelling is legal, but consider the number of families in the house that are the 3 families, and I'm not sure.
I know there's a basement.
What should we do now that we have this, and you have not been in the house? How should we make a ruling that it's not a 3-family or a 2-family or anything? What should we do to assist your client?
Okay. Well, obviously somebody from my office has been in the house.
It's not obvious in that person's and it's not obvious in the person's not here to tell us.
Right, but also the basement, the finished basement is part of the application for the cellar entrance. So there has to be an inspection done. Because the reason why I'm here is for just the cellar entrance, not the finished basement. So when it gets inspected, I would assume that the inspector will see whether or not there's a kitchen or whatnot down there as well.
You want, Patrick, can you just let us, and then let you take a look at these complaints about the basement. There's more than one, and about the use of the premises as something other than a single-family dwelling.
on those emails that we have?
Well, I haven't been in the house personally. The emails from the neighbors, I wouldn't be able to comment on it. I do know that the house has been sold. And I do know that somebody from my office has gone in there to draw plans on it. I would assume that if it was a multiple deed or multiple family dwelling, that
There's nobody here that can tell us one way or the other what actually is going on in the house. The only way that we're going to find out is to send the building inspector and they will take a look. Here's the question I have for you, though. This says that as an attorney, because it's involved in transactions all the time, you have to say the house is already sold?
Yes.
And it's money held in escrow?
Yes.
What if we deny this case? I assume you don't know the terms of the escrow agreement, but that's something that everybody likes to do also. You know that we have an aversion towards basement entrances, especially when there's already allegations that it's being used illegally. So this really could turn into a nightmare for a lot of people, but we can't assume anything. So we're going to start at the beginning and make sure before we make a decision that there is no illegal use of that basement. Are the new buyers living in the house already?
I believe so, yes.
So somebody needs to flag them down and let them know that somebody from the building departments can come in and do an inspection. All right?
So you want to finish giving the testimony for the things that you said in the
I gave the information, but if you wanted to repeat.
No, is there anything else you'd like to
It might also be in all of our best interest to have whomever you think from your office went and inspected the basement to submit an affidavit that there's only one kitchen and no plumbing, et cetera, in the basement.
And also, just for the sake of mentioning, it might not be a bad idea in cases like this. I'm looking at the dates of these emails, and the most recent one is October 13th. So these have been in the file list for at least a couple of weeks. It might not be a bad idea to take a look and see if there's any emails in here or correspondence on that. If these issues are raised in the future, or at least somebody can come back and testify as to what they actually want. All right?
This gentleman wants to speak to us.
Well, you didn't sign that, so I have no idea who you are. First, we need to sign that sheet pictures of yours.
When did you visit the house?
When we first took on the job, so when we first filed it, let's look back at the record, that would say probably a year since we were waiting for a hearing date. Obviously, I haven't been there since, but we have no objection, obviously, if the enforcement wants to go there and do an inspection, it's fine.
All right. You're a contractor, correct?
No, I own permit to us.
Okay.
All right.
No.
Is there anything else that you would like to say?
No, I just wanted to address the comment that he wants something from the office of the basement, I was there.
Okay, please stand up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there only one kitchen in the house?
There's one kitchen in the home.
When you inspected it?
Correct, one kitchen.
One kitchen.
And you went to the second floor?
I've been, yeah, well, part of
You seem to indicate maybe all three levels are being used individually.
No, part of the permit, although we're here for the cellar entrance, obviously for this basement is a dormer as well, which is part of the permit as well. But no, there's only one kitchen in the home.
And could you went upstairs?
I've been everywhere. Yes.
What plumbing facilities, et cetera, are in the basement?
I look at the plans. I think there's a bathroom in the basement, but there's no, correct, and there's obviously the bathroom right to the house upstairs. Other than that, one kitchen, that's all I'm concerned with in the house.
Did you draw the plans?
Plans done by Kurt Jacobs.
Pardon me?
Kurt Jacobs.
So you did Kurt visit when he did the plan?
Yeah, I'm sure Kurt was there, the draftsman was there. I wasn't out because I always inspect every home before we take on the job. So.
I just want to make sure that whoever drew the plans was the same person who actually was in the house.
Yeah, well, I was physically in the house when the job is signed up by me. I walk through every job that's ever taken on. So.
All right, do I have any other questions from the board?
When the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision time. Mr. Couture will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's ready.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Next we have case 66922, 1110, Stephen and Benjamin. Variance front yard after setback, construct addition, detached dwelling, runs 8 gun lane. You swear on oath that the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a seat, state your name and address.
Kevin Bennett, 1257 Newell Road, New Shore, New York, 11706.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Here today on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Robbins, property owners of Pt1 Lane. Property is located in LPRD zone. Basically what we're here for today is a revamp on the setback request. We are proposing a small one-story addition to enlarge the kitchen. It's a very tiny kitchen and create a little living area. The proposed addition is approximately 5 foot by 14 foot, located on the southeast side of the property. So basically we are seeking relief for 27.79 feet versus an average front yard setback of 33.3.
The proposed setback on the plan showed 28.9 feet.
Yes, this is from it's like a radius, it's a corner, so the proposed, the second front yard is 27.79.
But if it's a corner, you don't use average, you use 25.
We actually went back and forth with the reviewer regarding that, but he is treating this not as if it's a corner lot. I didn't want to bring that up and confuse you guys.
It's a corner lot.
It's the only variance, it's a corner lot.
And you propose 28 feet, not greater than the 25.
Yes.
You're aware that there are 2 open building permits? 2009 kitchen extension.
Actually, I was under the impression everything had been closed up. I think
This is about a 10-month-old search sheet, but it shows an open building permit for 2009 with a 2004 permit number. It says maintain kitchen extension. It's got a red check mark next to it, but it doesn't tell me what the red check mark is. And also that there's a 2021 permit for replacement of the oil permits. So whenever you do, these have to be closed.
100%. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No.
Yes, it's closed. Thank you. All right, do I have any other questions from the board?
We'll be hearing to close the matter because the city council is benefiting notified by mail for its decision.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Aye. Any opposed?
Next we have case 6722, West Hempstead and Brick Singh. Variances in subdivision of lot front width from and upon street line in the front yard, to the front setback line, side yard aggregate, construct dwelling with garage, demolish existing dwelling, and attached garage. East side of Jennings Avenue, 120 feet south of Quad Lane Avenue. We also have case 671-22, West Hempstead for the same. Variances subdivision of lot, front width, frontage on street line, with front setback line. Side yards aggregate, construction line with garage, east side, Jennings Avenue, 160 feet south of Broadway. You swear or tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Please take seats. Your name and address.
Good morning, Chairman members, Christian Randall, from Stern, 1122 Franklin Avenue, New York City, here with the applicant.
Good morning, Barry Larson, 220 Haddon Avenue, Belmont, New York, 11719.
Morning, welcome to the board. All right, good morning. This is a subdivision application concerning the property known as 635 Jennings Avenue in the West Hempstead Lakeview section of the town. The board is familiar with this area. There's been a number of applications brought before the board over the years. In this neighborhood, this property is proximate to the Lakeview Stables, which came before this board a number of years ago when it expanded and so forth. Yes.
You as well.
We were actually in this courtroom on that.
Is that right? Mr. Combs there, Mr. Combs, there were a few applications.
Yeah, it was a really good one.
So that's where it's situated. The property is currently, it's 80 by 200 feet parcel with a very small sort of cottage house on it. And that house, while it's not in terrible condition, is a very limited utility because, as you can see from the photographs, it's a very small house. It's just a small, I guess, story and a half with the one-story house with a small garage on the property. So the proposal before you is to subdivide into two equally sized lots, both would have 8,000 square feet of lot area, so quite a bit in excess of the 6,000 square foot minimum. The variance associated with the lots themselves is for frontage only. We're proposing 40 feet of frontage for each lot, where 55 is required, and then we would build two identical two-story single-family homes with basements, unfinished basements, 4 bedrooms on each lot. The homes themselves are entirely zoning compliant, but for the side yard aggregate, each home proposes to have, would meet the minimum side yards of 8 and 6, so it would be off on the aggregate by just over a foot and a half. So it's identical for each one. Each one is short a foot and a half on the 15-foot aggregate. Otherwise, they're fully zoning compliant for all of the other yard requirements. As I mentioned, they would each be 4-bedroom homes with an unfinished basement area. So I think if you look at the floor plans, you'll see that there's nothing out of the ordinary here. No attempt at basement entrances or any of the other sort of occupancy issues that the board is customarily concerned about on subdivisions.
This is currently one house in zoning too, but it's not being used in conjunction with the equestrian.
No, it's just here, and I pointed it out only because to the south of the subject property, you see there's sort of a 15-foot vacant lot that runs back to the stable property. So I guess it was laid out as sort of an access way into the stable property many years ago. So there's nothing directly to the south, or there's a buffer, I should say, between the properties to the south from the subject property because of that access way.
And that's owned by the equestrian?
That, I believe, is part of the equestrian section of the property. I won't steal Mr. Nelson's thunder because really the main issue before the board on the subdivision, on this application entirely, is the 40 feet frontage. Suffice it to say that this is a mixed area. There are other 40-foot lots, including on Jennings Avenue, on Wadley Avenue to the north, on Eagle Avenue to the south, and across the street, Mr. Nelson will detail for you. And there are other non-conforming substandard lots, quite a few in the area where you have 50-foot frontage. So overall, the 40 feet of frontage wouldn't be out of character for the area. It's the only variance associated with the lot, the proposed lots. The lots otherwise will remain oversized. They each have a substantial backyard of probably about 100 feet deep each. Plenty of room in the front, so they're well set back. Plenty of room to park 2 cars in the driveway next to each other, plus a garage on each lot for additional storage, so they can accommodate, cars that would be customarily associated with houses of this size. They fit well on the lots. The side yards are compliant. They're just slightly off in the aggregate. So overall, we feel benefits to the applicant in replacing a house of very limited utility with these 2 new single-family homes. Clearly outweighs any detriment to the area. As Mr. Nelson will detail, not only does it fit within the character of the area, but it will be a benefit to the area in terms of property values and the other benefits associated with new development of this kind. So that's really the overview, and unless you have questions, I'll let Mr. Nelson give his testimony.
Mr. Nelson, your name and address is on the record?
Yes, sir.
All right, since the last time we qualified you as an expert on real estate and real estate valuation, have there been any changes in your credentials?
No, sir.
All right, we're going to continue the qualification of an expert. You are free to testify. We've accepted in evidence your Eclipse photos, your aerials, your comps, and I think that's it. Oh, and the package of previously granted variances.
Thank you.
Are they hittable?
We hit them all. Okay. Thank you so much. Council's gone over the application substantially. The property known as 635 Jennings Avenue, known as Section 35, Block 425, includes tax lots 19, 204 through 207 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Maps. Properties on the eastern side of Jennings Avenue, north of Eagle Avenue, predominantly residential in nature, except for, as the council mentioned, Lakewood Range Estates, which is a substantial improvement in the area, or stables of riding academy and training for horses at that location, which is in the subject block. Council mentioned it does have a 15-foot access way, which is not utilized from Jennings Avenue immediately south of subject property. Primarily, that property focuses onto Eagle Avenue. The purpose of the application would be the subdivision of this 80 by 200, 16,000 square foot parcel into 2 parcels, 40 by 200, 8,000 square feet in lot area. 2 new colonials are proposed. The front yard, rear yard setback, in fact, the front yard setback, the average setback on the easterly side of Jennings Avenue is 18.8. Those homes are proposed at 43 plus feet from Jennings Avenue. The makeup of the area consists of approximately 33 parcels within the 200-foot radius as defined by the neighborhood on the radius map of the property. 9 40 by 100. Those 40 by 100 would be inclusive in the subject block. The first 2 houses to the south of the subject property are each 40 by 100, improved with colonial style dwellings. There's 2 additional 40 by 100, 40 by 200 on the north side of Eagle Avenue, known as 613 and 617 Eagle Avenue. There are just almost opposite the subject property on the south side of Grant Avenue, 2 40 by 100 and 1 40 by 100 on the northerly side. Same with the north side of Eagle Avenue, west of Jennings Avenue. So you got 9 and 40 by 100s, 9 with 40-foot frontages, and now you have 13 50-foot frontages that are inclusive in the subject block on the south side of Waterley Avenue and on the adjacent streets of Grant Avenue and Eagle Avenue. So, breakdown, 22 out of 33, 67% in the 200-foot radius, and within the 100-foot radius, you got 11 out of 14, 79%. So, substantially, the area, any of these parcels, if they were to be redeveloped or developed today, would require similar variances front width at the street line to the front setback line. As council mentioned, there is a small bump out on the southerly side of each house that encroaches into the aggregate side yards. And you will note that those are proposed, the first house on the northerly side of the subdivision would be adjacent to the proposed new house, and the southerly side of the second house to the south would be adjacent to the 15-foot strip of land to the Lakewood Branch Estates. It's my opinion that the proposed subdivision, as proposed, is in keeping with the pattern of development character of the neighborhood. 2 new one-family colonials would be consistent with the upgraded and renovated homes to the south on the 40 by 100. It's not going to depreciate or alter the essential character of the neighborhood. All municipal services are available to the site, including fire hydrants on Jennings Avenue and Grant Avenue in proximity to the subject property, improved roadway, concrete sidewalks, and curbs. Benefit to the applicant, in my opinion, is monetary and it is substantial. A breakdown of values in the area. Single-family homes are selling anywhere from $400,000 to $850,000 on the larger houses in the area on the lower side properties. The proposed homes each, as the company before the board colonials, oversized 8,000 square foot lots, would sell each for approximately $785,000. The breakdown would be whether you maintain the existing house at its current situation, which is about 800 square feet, 1 story with a detached garage. That would be worth approximately $450,000. A single building lot is worth approximately $300,000. A building lot as proposed would be worth approximately $250,000 each. The cost to construct and improve site improvements for each new house would be about $400,000. So the benefit to the applicant would be the gross profits of approximately $125,000 to $135,000 on each house for an aggregate of approximately $270,000 gross, without any detriment to the surrounding community. Again, if you look at the radius map, the adjacent properties are 40 by 100 to the south, there's a 60 by 100 to the north, and another 60 by 100 to. And as you go along Waterley Avenue, other than to the corner, they all have 50-foot frontages with the second, third, fourth going on slightly oversized in depth. In my opinion, there'd be no adverse conditions, quality of life issues to the adjacent property owners or the homes within the area. Thank you.
Mr. Graham, what about owner occupant? Let me just check.
Yes, we would consent to owner occupied on sale.
All right, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think you've covered the case. Basically, we would take there's an 800 square foot house on a 16,000 square foot parcel, put it to a higher and better use without burdening the neighborhood or doing anything out of character, and we would accept the condition that the chairman suggested.
Any other questions from the board?
The hearing is closed and now be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Brown, Mr. Nelson, and anyone else who's been on the case will receive a copy of this decision by mail once it's been included.
Thank you very much. Any opposed, any abstentions?
Next, we have case 67422, West Hempstead. Marvin E. Thea and Karen Williams. Special exception to maintain accessory structure, attached deck, exceeding horizontal maximum both sides, lot area occupied variance. It's known as the E. Myrna Drive. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, help you God. Please take a seat and say your name and address.
Joel, Barry, 39 Morris Avenue, Patrick Leo.
All right, what can we do for you?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, and thank you for listening to our case. As I mentioned, my name is Joel Terry. I'm here representing Karen Williams in regards to her property at 808 Green Drive, West Hempstead. My client has come before the board today in order to request an area variance for a deck and a hot tub, which have been existing for a number of years.
Are you an architect? Are you an expert?
I work for the architect to start, and we have an affidavit filed.
Okay.
So the hot tub is 9.4 inches away from the rear property line, where 15 feet is required, and the lot coverage is 30%, where a maximum of 26.5 is permitted. Ms. Williams, deceased husband, built this area for a hot tub as a therapeutic.
Wait, can I just ask you something? Am I missing this? The request that's on my calendar is a special exception to maintain an accessory structure, parentheses, detached deck, exceeding the horizontal maximum on both sides, and needing wire and occupied variance.
Within that deck is a hot tub.
Okay, but you're not here to legalize the hot tub, just the deck around it. Or there's a mistake?
Well, I think the entire, it's all one structure. There's a hot tub and a deck.
Okay, because it doesn't need a fine. We're just not considering the hot tub. What's wrong today?
Excuse me?
The only case that's before us is for the deck. The hot tub does not extend beyond it. The hot tub couldn't actually be part of the actual permit, correct?
Yes. We are going to
does not need a separate permit for a hot tub.
Well, you might need a permit, but you don't need
a permit, but I don't think we need different variances.
Okay.
Correct. Okay. I want to be clear because sometimes people come like that, or they don't even end up getting a variance. They might need.
I don't want to create any confusion. Yeah, within the confines of the deck is a hot tub. I noticed that in the description it doesn't mention the word hot tub.
Correct.
But it is within the extent of the deck.
So you just need two variances then for the deck. You need a special exception. You need the special exception, H83. You need a horizontal maximum on both sides, so give us those numbers. And you need lateral occupied, so give us that percentage.
I was just going to say that the situation here, I never like to come and ask for forgiveness. I always like to ask for permission. In this case, Ms. Williams moved into her husband's house in 2010. He was the owner of the house. He bought the house in 2009, did the work in 2010, and he didn't realize that he needed a permit. And since then, over the last 2 years, they've been working with us to legalize the structures, and the gentleman actually passed away during this process. And now, his wife is just we take care of it all so we can sell it.
Right. So you need horizontal maximum on both sides. So on one side, you propose 16 with 12 is allowable. On the other side, you propose 15.75 where 12 is allowable. While you're occupied, your residence B zone, I take it, so 27.5 is allowable. You propose 31%.
And I don't think that this it's been there for 12 years. She got a couple of phone calls from the neighbors, and they said, "So what are you doing here?" And she said, "Well, I'm just trying to legalize." And they said, "You know, you have to back there. All these years they were friends, And so anyway, yeah, they were all.
It's sort of odd because it's a little deck in the middle of the backyard and a hot tub right in the middle of it. So, all right. But is there anything else that you would like to add?
Just to thank you guys for your time today.
Okay, do you have any other questions from the board?
Hearing because the matter placed in the decision calendar is ready to be notified by mail before its decision when it's ready. Thank you.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Before we go to the next case, we have stuff a couple more. We're going to take a short break. So we'll take 15 minutes. We'll be back. We'll be ready to go finish it out.
Right down at the bottom of the stairs, so that at least the apartments.
Would anybody like this?
All right, thanks. You guys, this is that presentation for us, transfer property, attorney show, water, and show.
Fridge. By the time it comes, I'll be long list.
Yeah. I don't think so. The attorney that I spoke to on this, he was coming during the case. The attorney did. I know which one. Yeah. So the attorney took to figure this stuff out. We called them, contacted them, and judges. I one more jury last time on, figure out your stuff, associated with the lack of prosecution.
Did we do that already, or did we appeal?
They already appeared last time. So they appealed last time, I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Right.
And so we gave them the Germans to figure it out. It's exactly. We gave them the Germans to figure out what you're doing. They haven't figured out what they're doing. Or as far as I know, except I'm not they haven't signed it. So maybe they'll show up. It is 11 now, so maybe they'll show up and they'll have a better answer. But my recommendation would be to either try to file a time out if they don't do anything with dismiss for lack of prosecution, or you just do it now and they can file a year.
I think it. Yeah, I mean, it's that's good. 9:30.
Yes, I agree.
We think we're adjourned.
I would order
I adjourned
in
this
order to appeal.
Let's give them a little bit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, one more about the apple.
So,
It's not fine.
You don't have to tell me all about it. What documents that?
So, door trouble.
I'm ahead of it.
Yeah, you better get that guy out.
It's gonna go down again.
Sad.
Yeah.
You want to talk?
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we're down upstairs. But hurry up. We can cook.
Who's here?
Who's the short guy? This is the chair that we're always going to lose.
Oh, it's no.
Did you see the maximum?
No, so I had my chair. My old office had a chair. It was funny because it took me a minute to get used to it. Anytime you did this, chair, so we would just go every single time. So he'd be sitting there, all of a sudden he's on the floor.
It happens to my recliners at home. So it's a button on the side. There's stuff like that.
Yeah.
One time it was just,
Oh my God. Yeah, you're stuck. Nope.
It is slowly, yes, so we should be in a position here.
Okay, how are you?
Ryan said, watching us like you're mastering this.
Thank you.
Years of
Years of being beaten up.
This one? The whole time. You started. said, I had my first summer with down. Yeah, I left earlier than everybody else. I was in Texas. Yes. Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. You're not in?
That's a special please look up.
Also, the rent structure.
Yeah, I think
a lot
that's
of
part
times
of
in
it.
courts, they put the rent structure and where agent kind of. You want to
Ordinance
see it.
too.
Right next door.
some great coloring techniques. Do you? Yeah, I just want to use it so they can see it. That's exactly what I was trying to do. So let's photographs. House. This is the house. These are the proposed plans that the house will have. I have 5 weeks. Everything else is in there. So it's the model. It's one. Yeah. Oh, okay. I just brought you there's no changes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they had issues taking a look at it, that they would have a paper copy. Thanks, Tom.
Here's something to go here.
Yeah. I think I'm next.
Yeah.
So, document, I'm sorry. You don't need the evidence. Yeah. This is my client. I know, shopper, right? Thanks, Joe. Thanks.
You're good, you know.
Let's hope we will be more problem. Think about it. Okay, so I was going to say by the time we look. Oh, no, absolutely.
6:30. 6:30.
Absolutely not. I would never take it. That's not what that's not what Actually, I'm going to be giving more just FYI during that I have to go over my case. I want to give them this from the initial beginning so they can follow with me. Is that wrong? I like to kill trees, obviously. I'm a tree saver. Thanks, Patrick. Sorry. But it won't be a lot. It'll literally be like 2 packets of it. So that kind of more circles. Let's see. The circles, the
So
stickers
put
on
orange dots on numbers.
Can I actually look? What was the evidence I submitted today? I'm sorry. What was the evidence that I submitted in prior on the original date of the hearing before the adjournment? Is that going to include it if I mention that?
It should be in full.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm.
Where's the camera? Yeah, go.
Did it?
Please tell me.
She's watching.
Yeah, of course she is.
She's sitting.
It should be like multiple packages. Like very papers.
Was it separate? Magazines, because it's in the original.
Individually,
Here's going to be the 14th.
it's not long.
Staples was about $685. State road, that's the house itself. Something with the NSS property. That's the evidence of the house that was house for Is there here's one somewhere here?
That's what I do.
Thanks, Patrick. That's the other evidence. I was really thinking that they were going to just hear my case, but they actually like she was going to tell her story and we're going to leave it for 5 hours. Jesus. It's also the building with the time officer, and then that's the same thing we used to.
That's a detail.
These are the same, right?
Yeah, I just made 2 copies. If you put the circle towards the bottom area, it's good. So it doesn't come down this. I'm off worth of research in your office, nonetheless. It's not easy.
Come on, we're all friends.
Yeah. Oh, that's it? Not really?
I don't need to, yeah.
Okay.
Because we don't need multiple.
Well, I don't want to use up town stuff that's not required to be used. We might need to bring up from someone else's case. So I want to give this to the board as they come in, just so they, whatever. You feel better on the one line. Whatever, let's go on the line.
Seems like people are doing.
Do you think they're better? Do you have better luck on the left or the right? Is it?
On to the next. One thing I learned, one to do well, one of these kids will last.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened when I lost the grill out over that shed. No, I still got the conditions. They just didn't allow it to be in that front part area. She still got a shed. She's still very happy. It's being built. It's a nice house. It's a beautiful house. It's a beautiful design. What design? David Bush. Are you sure?
You did the house at the end, the president.
Oh, the one over there. Yeah, it looked very similar. The wood exterior. That house literally makes no sense. There's a courtyard in the middle of the house.
It makes sense for,
Did anyone ever actually buy it?
rented the option to buy.
Didn't know they were afford that.
It's not a closing.
Still more comfortable.
I understand.
I got it from the golf.
Speaking of Florida, here's what the evidence.
Look at that list. Joanne, you gotta put this on the list.
I heard that's through that.
I thought I did too.
Somebody.
Yeah, I don't get mine was never flashes. It was like burning up on the inside and cold on the inside skin. You know what I mean? In my
I was just going to they are, they're probably located in some guys.
Yeah, they do already.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
It was good.
Next, we have case 630.2, Point Lookout, Corey Ann, Dagrowski, and Edward Brings. Variances, height exceeds the number of stories, lot area occupied, front yard average setback, side yard, rear yard, construct a 3-story dwelling, demolish existing dwelling, known as 64 Mineola Avenue. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please sit your name and swear.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Michelle Casalino. Address is 1119 Roosevelt Way, Westbury, New York, 11590. I am the agent for Mr. Reines and Mrs. Bugowski, owners of the subject property at 64 Mineola Avenue, Point Lookout.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Edward Reines. I'm a property owner and my address is 64 Mineola Avenue.
I'd like to submit to the board a few items prior to the beginning. I just wanted to clarify certain stipulations that might be a little bit confusing. So if I can submit in this surveys.
We'll accept what you're about to submit as long as you tell us what it is.
Sure. It's a section, a side section of the house that states all the elevations and actual footage and heights. So it's clear to the board. I also wanted to submit in the original property survey of the premises along with the proposed and along with the existing survey. Also wanted to submit in photographs of the existing house as is and photographs of the existing lot of where the house is located. The proposed dwelling as designed will be FEMA compliant. There will be 5 on-site parking spaces provided on the north side of the property. The existing dwelling will be demolished. The front yard setback to the existing dwelling is going to be 13.93. The proposed front yard setback will remain close to the existing with a 13.83 feet. The required front yard setback, the average is 14 feet. 14.9 feet. The existing side yard setback is 3.34 feet. The proposed side yard setback is 3.4 feet. The required side yard setback is 8 feet based on an 80-foot wide lots. The required side yard aggregate is 24 feet, and the proposed side yard aggregate will be at 47 feet. Please note that there's a 40-inch in diameter sycamore tree that's located just north of the property, which is one of the oldest trees in Point Lookout that the owners are looking to preserve. The existing rear yard setback to the dwelling is 15.74 feet and 0 feet to the existing wood deck. The proposed rear yard setback is 11.32 feet to the dwelling and 5 foot to the deck. The required rear yard setback is based on a 75-foot in depth lot, which comes out to 18.75 feet. Mr. Miley, do you have any questions?
No, keep going. Thank you.
The property behind the subject property is town of Hempstead property. The area consists of natural vegetation, jetties, and beachfronts. The existing dwelling built under building permit number 20659 back in 1939 had a lot size of 40 by 75, which led the lot coverage to be 42.2%. No variances were required at that time. The proposed lot coverage on an 80 by 75 lot is 36.5%. The required coverage now in a residential zone is 27.5%. The proposed lot coverage is less than the majority of the structures in Point Lookout, which are typically greater than 40%. The proposed dwelling will exceed the number of stories and heights, which is 2 stories with a maximum height of 30 feet above the design flood elevation. The proposed FEMA compliant dwelling, first floor, is 13.31 feet in an AE9 flood zone. The DFE would need to begin at a minimum of elevation 11. The third floor and roof decks are proposed towards the rear of the property, which abuts the town property. The proposed ridge height to the third story is 36 feet above the flood elevation. The top of the railings to the main deck are going to be at 28.75 feet above the DFE, and the top railing to the smaller section of deck will be 3 risers above, making it 30.75 feet above the DFE. The maximum allowed is 30 feet above design flood elevation. The third floor will be used for access to the roof deck, mechanical room and equipment area, a powder room, and storage, with a full total of 591 square feet. The open area will be a space to be utilized just for storage of roof deck furniture during the winter months and during the inclement weather. I would like to submit to the board additional evidence. There are 2 lists. The lists have addresses of building permit numbers of stories, BZA cases, and heights previously approved by the board. The first list consists of the dwellings in Point Lookout, approved for 3 stories with heights ranging from 3.5 to 5.8 feet above the 30-foot allowable height. The second list consists of homes in Point Lookout approved for 3+ stories with heights between 6 foot and 9 foot above the 30-foot maximum. The proposed dwelling will be in similar kind of nature or architectural design. It will be FEMA compliant. The owners are proposing to maintain an area of the property just north of the house to be keeping the American sycamore tree, one of the oldest trees in town, replanting grass, native landscape, and provide a natural feeling environment to attract native birds and species back to Point Lookout. The owners have no intention to subdivide the property. The proposed construction is in character and in nature with the surrounding community and original neighboring properties. Any questions from the board?
When you're referring to on the listing you just gave us of the 3-story dwellings,
yes,
are we referring to them as what we usually refer to as FEMA 3s, where the first floor is not usable?
Some are and some are not. Some are with the garage, that's what you were trying to say. Some have garages and some don't. Okay. So they are starting at the design flood elevation.
All right, but you're starting here at your design flood elevation. So you're starting at elevation 11. Your first floor is at 13.
Correct.
All right, continue.
My name is Edward Reines, and 64 Medial Avenue. Thank you very much for your time, Chairman Weiss and honorable members. We very much appreciate restoring us to the calendar. I know you had a busy calendar, so adding us back so quickly is appreciated. We had to renotice, and I thank you for that. I just want to briefly describe the approach that we took to the house to try and stay in character of the community and be mindful of the neighbors. We did 4 basic steps. One is we wanted to be FEMA compliant, and we wanted to be above the flood zone for obvious reasons. The second thing we wanted to do is stay in footprint and leave the lot open next to us with the tree, because the number of people that came to us and requested that we do that was large. The second thing we did, and this I think is responsive to Chairman Weiss's question, is we did not want to have the garage on the first floor and have that big box look. As people, our neighbors gave us feedback, they don't like that approach. What we wanted to have is a steep street level entry, which would be in character with the neighborhood. So we could have gone up higher using that approach, but we chose not to for that purpose. We took architectural features from the neighborhood, including the peaks, the double peaks, particular houses, and tried to stay exactly in the character of the neighborhood in that regard. And again, we want to avoid the big box concept. As you see, for example, the third floor structure is back. I don't even think you can see it from the street. It's not in the front half of the structure. And then the final point on the height, which is obviously something that you're considering looking at,
was we wanted to make sure that we were within what had been previously granted. The neighborhood was in the vicinity. I think the visual evidence from the photograph shows you that, and the approvals and the list that we have. And, I think that's why we didn't receive any objections to this, because we worked with the community to be in character. So thank you for listening to my additional layperson contributions here.
The photo or whatever, the rendering that you submitted to us just now, this one?
Yep.
This is a side view of the house, correct?
Correct.
So if you're looking at the house from the front, you still have a third floor that extends the entire width of the house, does it not?
It does not.
Does not. So looking at
Can I
this,
approach?
I'm looking at A106, front west elevation.
Okay.
I see a structure that extends the entire width of the house. That is
You mean the ridge
the
height?
ridge height, which is
At the front.
right.
Correct, yes.
So you
I'm
still
sorry.
see that entire ridge from the front.
Yes.
And or the rear, but the rear is defined.
What Mr. Bryan was trying to say is that he wanted to keep the front look not noticeable of what was going on at the back end of the house, meaning that the deck in the back would be private, it would not have anyone, no one from the street line would be able to view this third-story deck or this.
Not the deck. Well, again, I'm looking at this right here.
Yep.
I see a ridge that runs the entire width of the house. Is that going to be visible from the street?
Yes.
And from this angle, it looks to me as if it is an entire new, complete third story, even though it doesn't extend the entire size of the second floor.
Yes.
It is reduced in size. It still is a third floor.
Yes, Your Honor, the only subtlety that I would add to that is it is set back, which I do think is important because then doesn't have a big front on the street, which is what people have suggested they did. So by setting it back, I think we stay in character and are consistent with the prior grants.
Okay, what else would you like to?
I'd also like to submit only 2 consent letters that I was able to obtain. It seemed like a lot of people were actually away, and I could not get a hold of them.
Okay, we'll accept the
But we received no objections from the neighboring properties. As far as I'm aware, I've knocked on everyone's doors to try to get anyone's word or input, and received nothing.
And they were noticed twice.
And the change in the rear yard setback requested, is that entirely decking or partially decking, partially?
Partially decking.
And partially.
Yep.
And in on the front yard average, that's the change proposed of about 6.5. That is mostly the masonry porch.
I'm sorry, Ms. Martin, you should read that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, my voice doesn't carry. The change in the front yard is currently at, it's currently at
13.83 feet.
Hold on. Two different numbers. Oh, yes, 13.83, and it's proposed at 7.33. I see from the site plan that there's a masonry porch on the front. And then there are the stairs going down. Are the portion of the stairs are all of them permitted encroachment?
Those are all permitted encroachments, so to the house, what's existing is 13.83. What we're proposing is, what is existing is 13.93. What is proposed is 13.83 feet. So the front yard
proposed is 7.33. It says on the site plan.
Okay.
And I'm just asking on this.
The encroachment with the stairs is.
Well, the stairs is permitted encroachment.
Yep.
So now, to get to the 7, I'm just asking if the portion that is not permitted encroachment, that is changing the front yard from 13 and change to 7 and change.
Right.
Is that predominantly or all the masonry porch?
It's the masonry porch.
Okay, is that, and so the front line of the house proposed is that where it was on the footprint before?
Yes.
Anything else that you would like to add?
That concludes my piece.
Right.
No, I thank you very much for your consideration and again for expediting this with bringing it back.
Was the third person who signed in on the case, was that?
Yeah, I'm the builder.
You built, okay. You don't want to say anything?
No. If necessary.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the board?
Excuse me, on the front, you have a third-story balcony?
No, not on the front, I'm sorry.
That's the side.
You can't.
That is the side section, not the front. There's no balcony in the front.
Okay, well, we have here, it says third-story balcony.
Can I be more
Sure. This is the front of the house, right?
Correct.
It says third-story balcony.
Some of us are discussing this, but that is not the third story.
It's actually, I think it says second story. So
Okay,
it's
second
more
story, yes,
than-
not a third story, because that would be the roof line. Sorry.
Oh, I see, okay.
So this is the second story right here. So above it, there'll be nothing but roof.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
Here's the balcony.
Any other questions from the board?
Returning to close the matter placed on the proceeding calendar, discuss later, giving your client and everyone else who is in on the case to receive a copy of your decision by now on. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, we have one more, nothing o'clock, and one second floor.
Case 55422 West Hempstead, Michael Simpson, Angelique Ortiz, Patrice Duran, John Velez, renewal of grant containing two-family dwelling, known as 547 People Inn.
This has been adjourned twice. We sent a demand, what is to appear on this?
This was the case where they've come in twice and they already sold the house.
Oh, the new owners need to figure out.
Need to do everything, and they have not contacted us.
No. It was apparently no demand letter for them to open the open.
Because they were here. They were here. So they didn't need the demand for today, but I do believe it might be in the cards for
Yeah.
new owners.
There was a woman that appeared, yes.
Correct, it was the new owner.
I would recommend that.
Original.
Oh, sorry, it's the original owner that
The old owner was the one that's here, but I'm not, and they're not sure why they are here.
And in my conversation with their counsel, she basically said, I'm not handling this, talk to the new owner. So,
Not our job.
yeah. Right.
Well, wait. Then would it make sense to send the building department out to give the new owners something so that they realize they have to come in and resolve this?
What we can do is ask for a notice of the PM to appear, and we can also be directed to contact the building department to send someone out there.
Because if the new owners were here, they're living in a house that doesn't have, it's not legally existing because it never got renewed. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't renewed prior to that either. It wasn't renewed under, I think, from memory serves, I think the last renewal was in 2001.
But it's not a referral calendar, just like the building's law plan to do enforcement. This is expired.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, so if we put this on our referral calendar, just hold it, send the building department out. This has expired, it's a violation. Let the building department issue a violation.
And then they'll come in.
Then we'll get it back.
Yep.
Procedurally, if we do that, the building department, let's say they're not going to let them in, which they probably won't. They don't have to. Right. It's going to sit.
Like, we don't even have to go in to find out if it's.
But for the purposes of the referral calendar, we can just restore it much more quickly than if we dismiss it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why don't we?
But the thing is, even if they don't let the building department in, We can still, it's still illegally existing because it's not renewed.
The building department issues violation based upon the fact that it's suspicion for use as a two-family dwelling where the permit's expired.
Right.
So that they can do because it had a two-family permit. So let's not do the building department, but we'll put this on our referral calendar. Hold it in abeyance and let's just notify the building department. Do whatever they need to do on this. All right, and then we're back to the second case, 657. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to do that.
We're going to call in case 657, 22, Wantagh. Peter A. and Laura J. Liebenberg, dual grant to maintain pool and equipment not permitted in front yard setback on Oakfield Avenue and 6-foot-high fence larger than the pool installation area, known as 1290 Chelsea Road.
All right, nobody's appeared in favor of this, but nobody's appeared in opposition either, so we're going to grant the appearance waiver. It was inspected by the building department on August 11 of 2022 and found to be in compliance with all the conditions previously issued by the board. Do you have any questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the hearing be closed and the matter be placed on the decision calendar. The applicant will be notified by mail of the board's decision when it's
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that concludes the hearing calendar for today. Let's take a infinitely short break and then we'll come back and do decisions and reserve and whatever else we need to do. This is the case that we adjourn, so that way I know that the Okay, guys, we're ready. Decision calendar. First case, I was not here. 656 at 22 Baldwin, Stephen E. Vines, 1856 Browning Street, Baldwin. Any discussion? Not to have a motion.
I move the case 656 22 Baldwin be granted as requested with all appropriate restrictions.
And conditions 5 years. I am out of this one. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Don't make a motion.
Case 657 of 22 Wantagh, Peter A. and Laura J. Liebenberg, 1290 Chelsea Road in Wantagh. Any discussion? This was just an appearance waiver. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move case 657 of 22 Wantagh at 1290 Chelsea Road, include the requested same conditions.
5 years, all in favor? Aye. First, second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Next case, 650 of 22 Baldwin, Desirable A. Roman, 477 Park Avenue, Baldwin. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move that case 658, 2022, and 2477 Park Avenue be granted for a term of 5 years with the same previously imposed conditions.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next case, 659 of 22, the Families Association, Associates LP, 3335 Hempstead, Turnpike, Levittown. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move case 659 of 2022, located at 3335 Hempstead Turnpike, Levittown, to Levittown Youth Associates, be granted as requested with all prior conditions, 5 years.
Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next case, 660 22 Garden City East, Stewart Avenue Realty LLC, 999 Stewart Avenue, Garden City East. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the case 660 of 22 Garden City East be granted as requested.
Same conditions, 5 years. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? This one, we just gotta get that thing about the building permit number straightened out. I think, I wonder if it's just.
I looked at it. I called the plant examiner. He actually inspected both properties, but the one that was handwritten was the correct one. So
Okay.
we'll make sure to reflect that in it, but I confirmed that he did actually review it. There was no non-conformation.
Okay, excellent. Cases 661 through 662 of 23 Franklin Square, Michelle Garcia, 459 Jefferson Street, Franklin Square, adjourned November 16, 9:30 a.m. Case 663 and 22 in Wanto, Nicholas Albanese, 2073 Pine Street in Wanto. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion? Motion?
Whoa.
663 of 22.
663 of 22 in Montauk, Nicholas Albanese at 2073 Pine Street, be approved as requested.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Case 664 of 22, Lido Beach, Alex Amati, 143 Fairway Road, Lido Beach, adjourned to November 30 at 9:30 a.m. Cases 665 and 666 of 22, Merrick, Sarah, and Kaki Hussein. This is 88 Beach Drive in Merrick. This is the question about this one. I mean, even if this was granted, there's a possibility that maybe a setback variance. When it goes back to the building department, maybe we should just put a note on it and let them determine what needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, we're not granting rear yard variance.
No, we're not asked to, so we're not granting it. But is there any other discussion on this?
You could hold it and send it back if you want to, but rather than staying 3 months from now.
Well, it's something that they should pick up when it goes back to the building department.
No, but he means we could grant this, and then if they have to deal with that on a separate matter, they can complete their sale.
The only caveat to that is they would have to go through the entire process again for the rear yard, or they'd have to rehear or reopen the matter in which the entirety of the application is back in jeopardy. Not saying it would change the decision, but it would, the entire case would be back before the board again if they do.
If the building department raises it.
If the building department
They
raises it.
don't care and they let it go.
I feel more inclined to pursue
motion.
the approach that Dave suggested. I will make a motion and should follow it.
Okay, so the motion is
I remove with regard to case 665, 2022, 666, 2022, as the chairman has previously described the case, affecting the property at 88 Beach Drive in Merrick, that the request all be granted, that they be granted.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Next case is 667 and 668 of 22 in Oceanside. Michael Marciano, 366 Foxhurst Road in Oceanside. I think we were going to hold this, let the building department go inspect, see what the story is with the possible illegal use.
Yes,
And then
so
we
we're
can make
going
a
to
decision.
send something, someone's going to are you, Mr. Vogel, going to send it to the department?
Yeah, I'll contact the inspectors. They'll consent to that.
My thoughts on that just is to not allow that basement, just that they can convert it to a emergency egress window.
The only issue I have, and this is why I asked the question, and I know it's not the answer, and it probably is not something that's even germane to what we're discussing, but lawyers enter into escrow agreements to do closings, to expedite the closing as everybody's pushing to get it done. What happens, like I asked her, what happens if we do not grant this? What are they going to do now? Because they've got money held in escrow to get this done. Litigate. When I do escrow agreements, that's always the last question I ask is what happens, even if it's a shed, what happens if it's not granted, then what?
Well, then
Even no matter what the answer is, it could be anything. They really need to deal with that. But it's sort of like having contractors that put in outside kitchens so you don't need a permit. You know, nobody deals with that stuff. I don't know whether we have to consider that at all, but it's just something I, as a practitioner, consider because I know what can happen in spots like that. But again, right now we're just going to find out what the building department says, and then we'll decide what to do with the case itself. Next case, 669 of 22 Levittown, Stephen and Megan Robbins, 8 Gun Lane in Levittown. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I move that case 669 in 2022, Stephen and Megan Robbins at 8 Gun Lane in Levittown be granted as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Next two cases, 670 and 671.
By the way, on that case, 8 Gun Lane, that is not technically a corner. I don't think that even needed a variance.
No, that is a corner.
It is a curve. It was a very sloping curve, and it was not a smooth curve. It had like different.
It's all the same street too.
Yeah.
Which is why it was not interpreted as a corner property. It's the
Except
same
that she
street.
told us.
Practically, it functions the same way.
No, but except that she did tell us in the hearing that it's on her second front yard. In other words, they characterized it that way, which only would be a characterization of the corner.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the department called it that way, so that's why they were here. 670, 671, or 22 West Hempstead Street. Sing. South, let's see, Jennings Avenue, south of Wadley. This is the subdivision. They agreed to no basement entrance, owner occupied on sale conveyance. Is there any other discussion on this? Anything else anybody wants to?
I thought it was okay. The lots are huge. It's not inconsistent with the neighborhood. It's kind of mixed over there, but
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem.
It's up to you.
I don't know, unless, if we want to.
Hold it on reserve?
No,
It's okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
You checked the
Yes.
material in the file. Okay, I will make a motion. I move, Mr. Chairman, cases 670 of 22, 671 of 22, subdivision request by Singh, if I'm saying it correctly, affecting property that doesn't have an address apparently, but is located on East Chase Avenue. Be approved as requested with the condition that there be no cellar entrance in either home, and that each home be owner occupied thereafter.
And our other normal
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Next case is 672 and 673 of 22 West Hempstead. Jennifer Simanowitz, 14 Hawthorne Street, West Hempstead, is adjourned December 14th, 9:30 a.m. Case 674 of 22 in West Hempstead, Marvin E. Bethea and Karen Williams at 808 Myrna Drive, West Hempstead. Any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
Okay, I move case 674 of 22 in West Hempstead, Marvin Bethea and Karen Williams, at 808 Myrna Drive, be approved as requested.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Case 95 of 22 Elmo Sarah Abasto, 2764 Madam Boulevard in Belmore, is adjourned December 7th, 9:30 a.m. Case 630 of 22 in Point Lookout, Corey Ann Bukowski and Edward Reines, 64 Mineola Avenue in Point Lookout.
I would like to have a chance to look over the chart that was provided by the applicant's representative. So I think, and I do want to go down and drive down the street and see. I think the chart might be a little misleading. For example, there was a case that the chart indicates as a 3'7" height variance that was decided in 03. Now, I'm guessing, and the crown of the road there is 7.64. So I'm guessing that really is, if the crown is 7.64 and they got 30 feet plus that, right? That gives them 37 feet 6 inches. And then, so the height variance is, that's a 37-foot tall house. And he's proposing a 47 foot. So that's still 10 feet shorter than the proposed house.
He submitted some photos of the aerial photos of the area. And if you look at those and then they point out the homes that received variances, they're still very different than what they are proposing.
Because this is being proposed as a height variance stacked on the FEMA DFEs.
And well, those may be also, but they're all 2-story with a 3rd story, either a dormer,
some of them,
not a full dormer, some of them have doggy, or some of them just have a deck on the 3rd floor.
But if they were done in 03, there wasn't FEMA.
But this one, as I said, when you look at it from the front, it's a full 3-story house, and that's some. And that's
and
still
the height is 47
and change.
which is a 6-foot height variance.
Look at the ceiling heights.
8 foot on the 3rd story.
But they stacked some more
All
on the
you all
DFE.
did that.
And they added 2.5 feet approximately on the DFE. They can cut 2.5 feet off just constructing at the DFE phase.
He's attempting to really build what he wants to build, and he's trying to make it fit as much as he can make it fit without having to start reducing things.
Yeah, and the third level, as the chairman mentioned, the third level is really a third level.
Yeah.
It's not just open
There's-
space
there's
to get up to the roof deck.
There's a deck, there's storage, but there's also living space and a bathroom and two closets.
Yeah, it was 590 something.
They could see this.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's we'll hold it.
Yeah, I want to look
All right, last case, 5-4 of 22, West Hempstead, Michael Sofakidis, Angelique Ortiz, Beatrice Duran, John Velez, 547 Eagle Avenue, in West Hempstead, and I guess we'll just send basically an order to appear out to somebody, do something, and figure out whether we're going to get them in here, or just send the building department out and issue them a violation, or notice a violation to get their attention. All right.
What's your opinion on
No, he's going to look into what would be the business.
On that one, are we putting on the referral calendar, or are we adjourning the notice of appeal?
That's the question.
I would, well, let's all put on reserve for it one time.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one? Wait,
Put it on reserve.
Put it on reserve? Yeah. Okay, put it on
And then
reserve.
figure out what the best approach procedurally is to get these people in here so we can just resolve it.
Because
Depending on what they tell us, then we can decide.
I'll contact the building inspector, say take a look at the property, there's a problem about renewing the two-family grant, see if they have any information, or they'll issue a citation. If they issue a citation, we'll get them in here.
I mean, as long as they come in and they meet the requirements, this is an easy case.
Or they restore back to one family, and they still need permits.
Yeah.
When the litigation is to purchase a two-family property, which is for a lot more than one family.
If they issue a citation, you're assuming the district court will send them back.
Well, no, they'll issue a citation and we'll send to the district court. However, I'll instruct John, please, when you put someone in there, say, go to the zoning board and help resolve this, because it will be a lot easier. I'll tell the town board, if they do actually correct it here, we'll request a much lower.
So you as a council, you recommend a referral or putting it on reserve?
I mean, it's a practical matter.
Let's do a reserve for it, and we'll find out where it is.
Yeah, let's do a referral reserve, and then we have to put on the referral.
Thank you.
All right, reserve calendar.
First case, 43522, MCRT. Hold that. I sent a draft resolution, sent it back to the town board, to the fourth floor. They're looking at it to see if they want to adopt that. Back on decision. As for 645 St. Court, Bob O'Brien gave me these plans. So we're on
Which one?
645.
I'm looking at 645. It's case 4.
Case 4, yeah. Case 4, apologies. So these are the plans Bob gave to me yesterday. I had Jimmy and Becky look at them, so if they're required to give variances, they do not. The chief concern on this property, I know it's been admitted,
the stairway.
they're including the stairs in the interior.
And then it doesn't overlook the
And the deck, right?
Exactly, and the rear deck. So you have a 15-foot rear deck. I'm not sure if they reduced. I told them that was a bit of concern, but I'm not sure if they actually reduced it on the plan.
They didn't increase the footprint either.
They're not. I think the footprint is actually identical. We did recommend. Okay, no, it's exactly the same footprint, except for the side yard is now a little wider because the staircase is now removed. So it's 14 feet, 14 feet 6 inches. The side yard is a little wider than the stairs, but they didn't decrease the rear deck. That is still the same, even though I did express the board's concern that being able to sit up there on that rear deck, but they did not. And we always put a condition in to say it needs to be reduced by a certain
So
portion.
there is entrance from the apartment.
Entrance is still from the rear as well as the turn. No, sorry. All the entrances are from the turn. They're not exit, but there are exits. They're right against the building.
Yeah, certainly. So you're right.
All right, so what we do a draft grant on this one?
Okay. For the congregation, I should dash. I spoke to John about that one. Yeah, we do have to similar to the Rockland portfolio. Let's hold that one. Leahy. Once again, I spoke with John Lipinski. This was first of October 11th, and I followed up with him last Friday. He got back to me yesterday. He's whipping his inspectors to the shade and making sure that someone goes down there. I got an email this morning confirming, but we haven't gotten the information on it yet. As for the Hostins and the cool matter, the only thing on that is I got a phone call from the Hostins.
I can take a look at that.
Okay.
My concern, my inquiry was related predominantly to the request to construct a dwelling on a road, another street under 288 provisions. There are others in the neighborhood that are similar in this area. I'm pretty familiar with the property, and I'm okay with the case. I think we can grant it.
Conditions?
No conditions, standard.
Okay. All right, do I have a second on
We have
that?
to do easement agreements, I imagine, right, Mr. Dean?
So standard home agreements and then crossing between parties
Yeah, I think it probably.
to guarantee access.
To ADA.
Well, it doesn't belong to any of the homeowners. I mean, they don't have the right to grant an easement on public property. This is public
This is
property.
280, this is public property?
The 288, yeah, it's just unfit. It's unfit.
Right.
It's just not,
It's a paper road.
it's not,
No one owns the paper street. It's kind of just
But it's on paper, but there's no
it's not
pavement.
maintained by the town or anything.
Right.
But,
Don't they have to petition the town? then?
That's their problem.
Well, they have to petition, they can make it a
Private street.
No, they have to petition the town for the town to adopt it as a public street.
And they won't do that.
They won't do that, no. All the garbage goes to the end of the line.
What would the logistics of all that is theirs to be concerned about. We're just granting them the right to build it on the smaller lot.
To transgress the property that's owned by the town.
Well, again, it's public access. Everybody uses that. Some of them are using the public property as their own. They actually built that onto it, but they have no right to block that. It's not theirs. You can't get eminent domain over any public property. Not an adverse possession. Yes, you can do that.
Jurisdictions.
All right, so we have a motion on that?
Yes.
Okay, second on the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, next case.
Next one, I apologize for the quick turnaround on this one.
Please go.
I sent the draft conditions.
Yes,
last
that's
week. No, the conditions that Bill last week, and then I was asking you a draft grant, so I have a draft grant.
We sent that yesterday. Did everybody have a chance to read it?
We had a chance to read it.
Yes.
At least it has,
somebody want to make a motion to adopt the grant? Mr. Pellegrini, would you like to make that motion? Is that 572, 573? Do you want to hold it until we have a full board?
Well, we will have a full board this afternoon.
Okay, so let's hold it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, that's a good idea.
No problem there.
And same thing with the next case also.
Yep, and that's all I have.
Okay.
I did send out a list of meeting dates for next year.
Which I am not involved in, so it's up to you.
Are they all Wednesdays?
I'm sorry?
Are they all Wednesdays?
They're all Wednesdays. There's 28 dates with 8 additional dates that possibly.
Tentative dates.
Tentative dates, just so that we can procedurally
Yeah.
walk through if we wanted to add something, prepare prior to this.
Do I have a motion to adopt the
I move
proposed
that we
dates?
adopt the proposed dates as described by Secretary Patrick.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? What else?
At least you didn't oppose it because you
I won't
have
oppose
more.
it.
No, I'm joking. I oppose it. Make me up. We used to do 35, 33, 33.
We started with 40 because before we did it, we reduced it down to 31, but that's supposed to get cell cases, and I mean, what else we got besides that? That's it. All right, so it's 3:05 to 2 o'clock. And we'll see if we can get the rest of these stuff on the reserve calendar that we will do this morning.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of cases on it, so let's see if we can get back and get that.
This one has open draft.
No. Something you know about the group. Oh, good. I like that. The tentative dates are for the smart to disperse them.
Yeah, I think we came to a good agreement. That you guys oh, yeah, it's good. That's it.
They probably won't buy the ink for it, though.
No, they just said, okay. Well, we can kind of use it too, because I mean, what we do, color helps. Yeah, color helps. Well, we did.
The hearing on my birthday.
She will not be bringing the paint.
What do you guys want to eat?
Oh, nice.
We have hearings on my birthday.
There's a hearing on my birthday this year. But no one ever knows my birthday.
When's your birthday?
I can't remember.
Copy of my appointment. Expired, I've been framed as expired December 31st, 2022.
Alright, somebody text me, I'll decide. Do I have to go home? Or do I can't? Because my sister's